On today's show, what have we learned so far about the Dallas Mavericks? Are Luka Doncic and Christian Wood the duo that was promised to get the Mavs over the hump? And should we expect Facu Campazzo to play against the Pelicans tonight? We'll talk about all that and more on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks.
How about 10 Mavericks, NBA champions? Bang! It's good!
And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
And welcome. You're locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. But the best way you can help us grow the show is to comment anything below. Let us know. What's one thing you've learned about the Dallas Mavericks so far? Just one thing. Let us know. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. And joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, and contributor at Mavs.com. The Facu boy, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Oh, this is a family-friendly show. Nick, where are you at on surprises? Do you like surprises?
Ooh. I like a surprise.
Okay.
Are you gonna quit?
Okay.
Don't quit. Don't quit.
No, that's not my surprise.
Live on the podcast.
Coming up next. No,
I was like, what would surprise me the most? Like, well, that's immediately where my brain went.
No, I have a birthday coming up, and my wife is like, she's being very vague about some things for my birthday, and I'm like, I'm a very structured, organized like type of dude, very planned out type of guy, and it's been a thing of our relationship is like I either figure it out or I'm like it throws me off so much I can't enjoy a surprise because I didn't like see it coming. And anyway, I was wondering where you're at with surprises, but you like them, so
I'm okay with them. Yeah, it depends. If I trust the person, to know me to do a surprise or something. So I guess maybe I'm a little more controlling than I should be. Let us know in the comment section below. Are you a surprise person for a birthday, for something? Do you like a surprise or not? My wife loves a surprise. I made my engagement to her a surprise. I blindfolded her and we drove for like hours to go to the place that we were going to go to because she didn't want to know.
It all fascinates me that she drove blindfolded for hours. She didn't drive, but she rode the car.
That was the surprise, is that she drove. All right, let's get into today's episode. We're going to get into Facu Campazzo. Is he actually going to play for the Dallas Mavericks in the Pelicans game? What should we expect for the Mavs versus Pelicans game today, Tuesday? Then we'll get into some big questions. Have we learned anything? What have we learned about the Dallas Mavericks so far? So then we're going to play a game. We're going to play a game with your overreactions. You guys commented a whole bunch of times. Thanks for commenting on YouTube, on the community post, and on the video. Your overreactions. And we're going to grade your overreactions. Is it a real overreaction? Are you not overreacting enough, so it's like a real thing? Or are you underreacting? It's like a too mild. We'll do that in the third segment. All right. One of the questions that you sent me, and you were like, let's answer some big questions on today. Do we still care about the third ball handler spot? Now, Facu Campazzo has been signed to the Dallas Mavericks, and Jason Kidd at practice on Monday said that Facundo Campazzo has been cleared to play. There were some visa issues. He was in attendance for the Grizzlies game, the home game, but he is now cleared to play and ready to participate tomorrow. Let's start here. Do you think he's going to play against the Pelicans?
I don't think so. I mean, I haven't talked to somebody around the team about how much he's been practicing or if he's been allowed to practice.
I don't know that he has.
Yeah, and it would just be kind of weird to me if he plays without practicing at all.
Especially since this is like, besides Frank and Davis, a fully healthy team, right? It's not like the hardship signings that they did last year where they were just dying for anybody to come in.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, Frank's still out, and so I guess they're a little lighter on the guard rotation, but they've been rolling with that 9-man unit for the most part. So I would be surprised if he played in this one, maybe get a practice under the belt. I mean, we'll see, they'll go up to New York there on Wednesday, or they'll probably fly out Tuesday night, but maybe get a practice or something on a Wednesday, but we'll see. I would be surprised though if he plays. If he does, it'll be a lot of fun to just see him out there.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see him, but I'm not expecting him to play. So I'm not sure that that's something we can expect so early since he just got cleared and all that. So I'm not expecting him to play. Frank Ntilikina, like you said, is also not cleared to play still, which is kind of interesting because it seemed like he played all of preseason and in training camp, and then all of a sudden he's just been out with another kind of like illness, right? Like just another like weird thing.
Well, it's something with his foot, but we don't even know Facu's like role.
Yeah.
Like we don't even know what kind of role that's going to be. And if, is it the same type of role that they were offering Dragic in the cheerleader role, playing every other 3 or 4 games or something like that? Is it that? Is he going to have like a set spot in the rotation where he's going to get, 10 or 15 minutes a night off the bench? We don't know that yet. So I'm really intrigued. I mean, I think it was Mark Stein who reported that it was a non-guaranteed deal. So, there's hardly any big commitment to this. So it could be every other game. It could just be hey, he's just here to have fun and for the vibes.
Be a vibes guy.
Or he could come in and play 15 minutes, one night. And I would be like, okay, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's a good point you brought up with Mark Stein saying that it was non-guaranteed. As soon as I saw that, it confirmed everything you and I have been thinking about what Campazzo is going to be on this team. And they're not investing a whole lot in it. They're not giving him this guaranteed deal. If they were desperate and said, we really, really need this type of guard really badly, then they would give him a guaranteed deal. Maybe it's a 2-year deal. The second year is maybe like a team option, even like a player option, something like that. Like they would go a little bit harder to try and go after somebody like that, like they did with JaVale McGee, right? Like that's a little different of a scenario, but they still gave him 3 years and a player option and promised him to start. Like they really wanted to upgrade that spot. They didn't do that here, which is why Dragic is not a Maverick. And then now where Facu is, I'm not expecting a whole lot from his role if that's what we're going to get, and if that's the contract that he's going to get at this point. So that's what we're expecting with Campazzo. I hope to be wrong. I hope he plays, and I hope it's fun, and I hope that we see some crazy Facu passes.
And to answer the question, yes, I think we should still care. And I threw
about
out
the
that
third
question,
ball handler spot.
Yeah, because I threw that out because we look at some of the YouTube comments sometimes, or check the DMs or notification on Twitter, and I feel like I've seen a few people like, dude, this was overrated. Like we're fine. We don't even need it. Like if Dinwiddie's going to run the second unit, Christian Wood's balling, do we even need a third guy? I think we still do. And I still think I do care about it. I am worried a little bit about that still. So I think at some point, yes, I'll see. I was going to say I still think they trade for somebody at some point, but let's see what role they envision for Facu. I don't know.
This is still a concern for me as well, because you can just tell, all right, what if one of Luka or Dinwiddie is down?
Yeah.
What is this team trying to do? Tim Hardaway coming back, though, like it softens the blow because you have some more scoring, and then obviously good
you don't want him handling the ball.
No, but it softens some of the, if one of those guys are out, then he can carry some of the scoring load when those guys are out, and it's creating in a different way. You're creating off of set plays instead of like off the dribble moves, but you are still creating offense. And so, but it's this whole question, I think, has always been about the playoffs and about, can they get a good enough third ball handler that makes sense to be in a playoff rotation? That adds a lot to what the Mavericks will want to try to do.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's talk quickly about the Pelicans. So coming up to Tuesday, if you're listening, watching this on Tuesday tonight, Brandon Ingram is out. He's in concussion protocols, so the Pelicans are already going to be down a man. Zion is questionable, and Herb Jones is questionable too. So this could be a really undermanned Pelicans team. There's a couple people when I quote tweeted this from a Pelicans reporter, they said, "Man, I'm worried about this game because if all 3 of those guys are out, the Mavs are just going to not take this team seriously." Is that something you buy or not?
No. I think they'll see it as, hey, we left one in the water there with Phoenix and took care of business against Memphis. Let's take care of business again. I want to believe that this team tasted the conference. They're going to have a couple of those dumb games, but of losing to, like, I don't know, the Knicks or something, everybody's going to freak out. But I think they're going to take care of business.
And I don't think it'll be this early in the season, right? Like they've only, I just tweeted this. Some teams have played 9 games between preseason and regular season already. Like the Lakers played 6 preseason games and 3 regular season games so far. A ton of teams have played 5 preseason games and 4 regular season games already. The Mavericks have played 5 games so far. 3 in the preseason, 2 in the regular season. Like, they have not played a lot, so they're rested. They're ready to go. They've had 2 days off. I don't think this is going to be a game where they're just going to like give up basically, or just not rate the team properly, and they just want to go in and win games, especially after that loss against the Suns where they felt like they should have won. So last time Zion played against Dallas,
2002.
March 27th, 2021. It's been a long time. It's been a year and a half since the Mavs last played Zion. So coming up, what have we actually learned about the Dallas Mavericks? What are some big questions we want to answer? We'll talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the place where you can go check out your job posting. If you're a job seeker or if you're somebody that needs to post a job, if you're a hiring manager, you know that every single new hire is important, especially if you're running a small business. Like, you don't have a lot of leeway to try and all right, let me just grab anybody and put them in this spot. You just can't do that. You got to know that every single person is qualified and they're ready and they're able. And so you should go check out LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Go check it out. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. Again, that's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, Isaac Harris, thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen. For your next listen today, go check out NBA Game to Game. It's our NBA recap show that we do every single night in the NBA, where it's every game from the local experts' perspective. We give a recap on it. Go check it out on the Locked On NBA YouTube channel or the Locked On NBA podcast feed. All right, let's get into the big questions. Is there anything we've actually learned from the first 2 games from the Dallas Mavericks?
Yeah, so we did overreactions on yesterday's pod, and you did overreactions on yesterday's pod. I kind of misunderstood the assignment.
It was your idea, and we totally had 2 different ideas of what we were doing.
Yes, so that's my bad.
So I came in spitting hot fire with the overreactions, and you were like, "I have a bunch of questions written down."
And listeners, let us know about that too.
And it was really funny. And I was cracking up at every one of them.
It was great. Was Nick sending me screenshots?
Get your guy Isaac. He doesn't know what an overreaction is.
Was Nick sending me screenshots at work today?
I tweeted you. I texted you so many comments today.
Anyway, we talked about overreactions, threw out some wild different takes and stuff yesterday. I would assume that there are probably a few of them, Nick, when we boiled it down, you probably wouldn't fully believe some of them. But is there anything that we could say, what have we realistically, you're saying, I have learned this after 2 games? Because it's not a ton.
Yeah.
Outside of just some rotation stuff, whatever. And I think something I've learned is it feels like Porzingis. It feels like Christian Wood and Luka have some type of chemistry, fun relationship within each other. Something that you sent me it was a comment or tweet or something about somebody saying, well, at least he laughs, playing with Luka and stuff.
The tweet was, Christian Wood has laughed and smiled on the court more times in 2 games than Kristaps Porzingis did in 3 years. And I was like, is this true? I feel like this is kind of true. They're different personalities for sure, but it does kind of feel like that so far. And
I feel like Luka has interacted with him on a different level, fun level that we didn't see with KP. And maybe it's a realization thing for Christian Wood that, from day one, KP thought he was on the same level as Luka, maybe. And it's hey, well, I've been an all-star, all this stuff. And maybe it's even though Christian was very confident in himself and thinking he's going to be an all-star and everything, maybe it's still dude, I am just so happy to play with Luka Doncic. This is going to be a lot of fun. He's the number 1 guy on this team. I know this. So I think that's something I've learned is just how they've interacted, watching them from, watch them through my binoculars, my Jonathan Charks binoculars.
I got mine
in the press box, and, watching them interact on the bench and when they come off the floor. It just feels like there's some type of relationship there already. And that's something I've learned.
Yeah. The thing I wrote down is Christian Wood and Luka and the Mavericks are starting off in a good place. Seems like everything's good so far, right? There's not been any surprising look at that body language. Ooh, look at that thing over here where they're just not clicking. There's been a couple of miscues here and there, of course, because that's going to happen. But it seems like Luka and Christian Wood have the chemistry. It seems like Christian Wood is embracing his role so far. It seems like he is, he keeps saying every time someone mentions you're a 6th man, he says, I'm motivated. No matter what it is, I'm motivated. And so as long as that motivation keeps going throughout the season, then then things should be good. But they're at least starting in a good place, which is good. There's not the grumblings of, well, you see my play. You see my play.
Yeah.
So you move off of that. So they're starting in a good place. Another thing that I think I've learned is that Jason Kidd is not going to overreact to stuff. We did all our overreactions yesterday, and something he said in practice, I think it was Friday. I think Friday in practice, he said, we're going to take about 10 games, and then we'll assess by that sample size to make any major changes to the rotation. Now, I think they'll tinker with the amount of minutes, where guys come in and stuff like that in the rotation, but they're not going to make any huge big changes, change a starter, take someone out of the rotation, put someone into rotation until after 10 games. And I think that he's not going to overreact to stuff. And I think that's pretty smart to not overreact quickly, to be able to get a good sample size, a good decent amount of numbers in order to look at them and say, okay, this is where we need to make some changes. And I think that's something that's smart. I think that's something we've learned.
Yeah, just give it some time and then react then. That's the smartest thing to do.
Yeah. Another thing I've learned is that Tim Hardaway Jr. has got to shake some rust off. Just some rust. Just got to shake some of it off.
Yeah, I got to see how he fully fits with this bench unit and stuff.
For sure. Yeah. Last thing I've learned is that no one knows what a take foul is.
Well, I don't know if anybody does.
That's what I learned, is that I don't think we're going to be so annoyed by this foul all season long. Luka hit John Morant with his shoulder on a play, and I was like, oh, that's going to be a take foul for sure. Nothing called. Dorian touches somebody in the backcourt when there was the whole rest of the teams were behind him. Take foul. I was like, I don't know what a take foul is. I don't know the difference. It's going to be like offsides in football, aka soccer, and it's just going to be one of those well, we have a big European audience, so I gave them the football. I told them it was football.
I thought you were actually talking about NFL, but
I know you were. What stat are you most confident that the Mavs can sustain?
Right now, they're number one in the league in free throw attempts per game. And they've attempted 30. They're averaging 35 over the first two games. Do I think they're going to stay at number one? No, but I do think they're going to stay in that top group of free throw attempts. And I say that because of Christian Wood. I know it's only been 2 games, but he's averaging a little over 12 free throws a game. He knows how to draw fouls. Going back since Luka's been in the league, Kristaps Porzingis, he never averaged more than 5 free throw attempts per game.
Man.
And some of those seasons, a couple of those seasons in the first part of Luka's career, the next highest guy was 3 free throw attempts a game. Harrison Barnes, his rookie season, was 4 free throw attempts per game. So he hasn't really had, Brunson didn't draw a lot of fouls. No. He hasn't really had a free throw attempt guy.
Collector.
Alongside of him. And Christian Wood knows how to draw free throws. So I think both of them together will draw a lot of free throws, and it'll put them near the top. Yeah,
this is something we talked about a little bit yesterday, and that I think Christian Wood can catch the ball in spaces that Porzingis couldn't. Right? He's got a bigger catch radius, I think, and he catches them and Luka puts him in spots. Think about that pass that Bobby Crowell tweeted out today that was this is absurd. Why? How can Luka do this? Where there's 3 Grizzlies around him, he drives to the baseline, pretty much puts himself in jail, and somehow gets the pass out to Christian Wood, who's covered, and then gets the bucket and gets fouled. And you're like, how did Luka get that in there? And how did Christian Wood know that was going to be there and catch it? And that's what we're talking about with this chemistry, with Luka being able to set him up, and then with Christian Wood being able to catch stuff. Think about the last couple of teammates Luka has had. They did not rack up free throws at all. You mentioned Brunson. His highest free throw attempts per game is 2.5. Porzingis, like you said, 5. Harrison Barnes, we were always asking him to get more free throws. And now Christian Wood. Dinwiddie kind of can get some free throws. At that Brooklyn year when he averaged 20 points a game, he averaged 7 attempts. So he's gotten to the free throw line a little bit because he's a slasher. But yeah,
I'm waiting for the first person to write an in-depth piece of how the Mavericks traded for Christian Wood to get Luka Doncic more rest, as there's he has more teammates that are on the shooting more free throws to allow Luka a little bit more rest.
That helps. And that, you know what else that helps? The pace. That helps them get out and transition a little bit more. That helps them to push it a little bit more. All that stuff matters. It helps their defense get set because you take free throws and then you go get your defense set. That always helps in different ways. So coming up, There's another stat I think the Mavericks are gonna. I'm confident that they can sustain. I'm confident in their defense, and I'm gonna tell you why coming up.
Tell me why.
All right, Isaac Harris. A stat that I'm most confident the Mavs can sustain. Here we go. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
I'm confident the Mavericks can sustain this stat. They have led for 93 out of the 96 total minutes that they've played basketball so far this season.
They're not sustaining that.
That would be like 75 win season. Incredible. No, the Mavs are number 3 in defensive rating this year, and I think they can sustain it. I think that they can. I think they can keep in the top 5 because of the free throw stuff we just mentioned, slowing things up. Dorian and Reggie starting from the jump. I think that that's huge. Luka looks more engaged on defense. JaVale McGee adds something, and something we mentioned yesterday. I'm going to say again: you remove Brunson, you remove Davis Bertans, and you remove Dwight Powell from the rotation. And that's a big improvement on defense for this Mavs team.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Thank you. Give me what's your biggest worry? That's another question you sent me.
Biggest worry, I would say it's hard because it feels like, man, if we're just coming off this massive wins, like what do you have your worry? And we already talked about the third ball handler. I'll just say player roles. That as this is a long season, and right now it's kind of like the honeymoon phase a little bit. JaVale McGee starting like promised. Christian Wood feels like he's buying in and, playing well, playing a lot of minutes. Tim Hardaway's finding his spot. Dinwiddie's starting. I wonder, I'm a little worried about the player roles as the season goes along. If we're at game 50 and Christian Wood's still 6th man of the year, which I think he will be, is he still going to be fully bought in like he is now? If they make the switch at some point, is JaVale going to be fully bought in? When it's like, hey, you promised me, like, this is why I'm here is to start.
Hey, trade me for Jay Crowder. I'm going to go back to Phoenix.
Is Tim going from, dude, I mean, he was a starter, a couple years ago to now we're like monitoring his shots off the bench and he's playing with Christian Wood and Dinwiddie. And, what is he happy with his role and all of that, which I feel like he is because he's a good vet for the guys and stuff. So that's just something I'm watching is player roles and their happiness.
I think a worry for me is it's still Luka getting hurt, obviously, but also Dinwiddie getting hurt. Like it's the coupling of those two things. One of those two guys getting hurt, I think, will really test this Mavericks team. And I'm actually kind of really interested to see what their offense would look like without a Luka or a Dinwiddie on the court. And I don't want to see it a lot, but I just want to see what they would do and like what they would draw up. So I think that's my biggest worry is an injury to Dinwiddie or Luka, who both have had a history of injuries, of missing chunks of games in seasons. And I think
Facu would play like 28 minutes.
Hey, that'd be interesting. I would be interested to see that. I don't know that I would want to see it a lot, but maybe once. So yeah, I think that's my biggest worry. All right, let's play a game.
I'm ready.
I gathered all of your overreactions, and I have them here. For example, I'll give you the first one. Xander wrote, Luka's really good at basketball.
Shocking.
Is that a real overreaction, not overreacting enough, or an underreaction? He actually undersold it.
I mean, not overreacting enough. I mean, he is really good at basketball.
I think he underreacted on this one. I think he
sure, so that underreacted.
So that's how it's going to work. All right, here's one from Hot Take on YouTube.
What a name.
This team is overlooked and will be number 1 or 2 seed in the West this year, deepest in the league. Overreaction, not overreacting enough, underreaction.
A little overreaction for me, yeah.
Ooh, little overreaction. What part?
I just don't think we're as deep as Golden State or
the number 1 seed in the West, the Portland Trailblazers,
Clippers, or Utah Jazz, or the Spurs. But yeah, I don't think we're as deep as a couple of those teams.
Victor says we have the best bench in the league. Overreaction, underreaction.
What's the middle one?
Not overreacting enough, meaning that it's real.
Yeah, there's a case that could. That I need to look at some of these other bench units and see who exactly is starting for some of these other teams. But off the top of my head, I do kind of want to agree with that. And it's kind of deceiving too, because obviously Dinwiddie starts, but he runs the second unit, so he's not really part of it. And so it's kind of, yeah.
Couple of Christian Wood ones. Christian Wood is going to be sixth man of the year with a 27 point per game average.
That's overreaction. The points per game. I don't think you're going to
27. You don't think he's going to
off
get
the bench? But no, I mean, here's the thing with Christian Wood. If he is fully bought in right now, like he is right now, for all season, then he has every bit of shot to win a sixth man of the year.
For sure.
100%. So there you go.
Christian Wood will become the third ball handler in the rotation and will win most improved and sixth man of the year.
Little overreaction too.
Overreaction. Which part is too much for you?
Most improved. But I don't think it's like impossible. There is a world that happened. Like you could see the path in which that happens. That this start is just insane. He continues it all season long. He is the perfect fit next to Luka. He's fully bought in. I just don't think the odds are very high for that.
BetOnline does not have sixth man of the year or most improved up right now. I just went and checked. Christian Wood this is from Locked In. Christian Wood is him, and we have to pay him whatever he wants.
No.
Real overreaction?
Yeah, overreaction.
That's a real overreaction. Got to pay him whatever he wants? Dang.
Yeah, no.
Natasha.
Adam would agree.
Natasha, I think this is tongue-in-cheek because of the rest of her comment, but Natasha says, Tyler Dorsey will have a wake-up season and lead the second rotation with 20 points per game.
Yeah, we're going to continue the overreaction on this pod right now.
Should we go ahead?
What?
Satnam.
Shame.
Oh, yes. Bring it back.
The bell has tolled. Mateusz, our friend that wrote the Jaden Hardy song.
Let's go.
This is his overreaction. Last week was the last time we ever hear the Hardy Party song.
Oh, man. No, that's overreaction. Because
Party, let's go party.
Because we know it's going to happen, though. There's going to be a blowout. It's going to be really
I'm
bad.
ready for that.
The game's going to be over by like mid-third, and it's going to be one of these super bad teams in the second half of the season, and Hardy's going to drop like 24 points in the fourth and a little bit of the third, and we're going to play the song.
All right, here's a back-to-back one. Here's two of them. Dallas Dubman and Jay Chato have opposing reactions.
Okay. All right.
One from Dallas Dubman. Those jerseys are fire.
That's good. Yeah.
Jay Chato, the new jerseys are still not cool enough. Rebrand, please. Who are you siding with more?
Well, the first comment of Jay's, I disagree with.
The new jersey is still not cool enough?
Yeah, the jerseys are really cool. I am down for a rebrand, though. And we haven't heard that rebrand conversation in a while.
Because they've played basketball, because it hasn't just been nothing. Chunky May says, if Isaac doesn't trim his beard, the Mavs will continue to win. Are you in or out? Is it an overreaction or just enough that Isaac needs to keep growing his beard out so the Mavs keep winning?
I mean, I'm down to not shave until they lose.
Let's do it.
Please don't. I'm not agreeing that I'm going to shave when they lose.
Bates, clip that and send it to us. Ravishing Rick says, if they keep playing like this, they're going to win the Super Bowl. Overreaction, underreaction.
Underreaction.
They'll win all the Super Bowls.
Who's the Cooper Rush for Dallas?
Well, it was Brunson, I guess. Jerome. So I guess it's Christian Wood. Jerome says, I believe a guy like Isaiah Thomas or Rondo would help us coming off the bench.
Did you make that up?
No.
What? There's no way.
Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
Satnam.
Shame.
Yeah, shame that thing.
Shame. Jerome, you get 2.
Satnam.
Shame.
You get 2.
Rondo's not even on a roster right now.
No. Neither is Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't really have any harsh feelings towards him, but
That's true. There you go. Thanks for telling us your overreaction, your underreactions. We will be back with a post game for the Pelicans game. Well, we will have a post game for you like that in every single game. So thanks for making us your first listen. Go make your second listen. Locked On Sports Today, the podcast with the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs. Peace out. Boom.